Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video today is going to be another Beatles buying guide, which is just pretty much me going through the Beatles records and all the variations and reissues out there for a specific album that the Beatles released. So today is going to be the Beatles Story, Beatles 65, and the Early Beatles. And nothing too crazy in terms of little small variations like we did in the first video. So this should be a little bit of a shorter video compared to the last one. Um, they seem to do pretty well with not messing up any credits or misspelling or anything like that. So they're probably just going to be the main label variations for these three records here. But I'm going to add the Beatles story. I'm going to cover that, even though all the information is pretty much out there anyway. But for a collector, you might want to pick up some of these variations. And I'll pop up the pictures of the record labels on the screen as I talk about them. So 1964, we got the Beatles story. Um, it's on the classic Capitol Rainbow label, and it has the 1, 4, 2, 3 record variations. Well, it's not really a variation; it's just how it came out. So I should say that. But there, in 1964, there is a one, side 2 on record 1, and side 3, side 4 for record 2. But I believe those were only in mono that those were released on. And then in 1968, again the black rainbow label Capitol, but with the subsidiary Capitol rim text from 1968. And if you look on Discogs and the release page for that, I'm pretty sure that is my album. I'm pretty sure I added that release. So fun fact about that. And then in 1969, they had the green Capitol label with the purple Capitol label at the top. And also 1969, they did the rainbow label, but has like a smaller stereo font on it. So that's how you can tell a little bit compared to the original releases before that. And then in 1971, you have a subsidiary by Capitol with the Apple label on it. And then from 1971 to 1975, you have just the regular Apple label that has the MFD by Capitol rim text. And then 1975, you have the all rights reserved rim text, which is pretty much in green all throughout the bottom. 1976, you have kind of the reddish orange Capitol label. In 1978, you got the purple Capitol label. And then in 1983 to 86, you have the throwback black rainbow label. And for this record, there was no 1988 purple label pressing for this, so it only goes up to that 1983 to 86 range. And then I like to throw in a couple bonus records from like other country releases, but these records are kind of hard because they're primarily U.S. albums, and there wasn't really too many interesting or unique covers or labels from different countries from these releases. So I tried my best. So there's a Japanese version, and then of course Canada has all these releases as well. And I believe I'm going to put a Brazilian copy. I think it's from Brazil. If not, I'll make sure it's not. But the label is kind of interesting looking. And that wraps it up for Beatles Story. Now we're on the Beatles 65, which came out in 1964. I always thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, first pressing, pretty standard black rainbow label. No variations between the first pressings, I believe. And then you go all the way back up to 1968 with the subsidiarity by Capitol rim text. And then you have the 1969 green Capitol label. And then you go, I want to double check and make sure that there's no club releases from 1969 for these releases, but so far I have not seen any. But going to 1971, you have the subsidiarity by Capitol on the Apple label, and then you have the MFD by capital rim text Apple label from 1971 to 1975, and then you have the 1975 all rights rim text on the Apple label. And then in 76 you have the red orange capital label, and then in 1978 you have the purple capital label. And these did get released from 1983 to 86 on the throwback rainbow label. And this one does have a 1988 purple capital label. I need to find a label for it. I have not found one on Discogs, so I might have to do a little bit more digging to find a picture to show you. If not, I couldn't find one, and I'm sorry. And then, let's see, a couple bonus ones. Beatles 65 was released in Germany on the white, red, and gold Odeon label, and that's pretty much kind of the most unique one I could really find. There might be another South American copy of it, and I might put it up here or not. And just like that, we're already on the last album, and it's the Early Beatles from 1965. Again, the first pressings aren't really anything too special, just on the black rainbow capital label, no really variations in between. But there was a 1966 reissue, and you can tell by the dead wax, it should have a little date by it. I'll try to put a picture. It has like the month, day, and the year. Travis 66 at the end there. And then you go to 68 with the subsidiary rim text. And then the 1969 green label. And then you have the 1971 subsidiarity by capital Apple label. And then the 71 to 75 MFD by capital rim text. And then in 1975 you have the all rights reserved rim text. Then the red orange capital from 1976. Purple label from 1978. And then the 1983 to 1986 throwback rainbow label. And then for the 1988 release for this copy, it included a hype sticker which says includes twist and shout. So that's something you can look for some of those later reissues that kind of add a little bit of character, a little value, things like that. And then the couple bonus records I added. There's one from Venezuela that looks like Beatles 6, but it's the early Beatles, so that was kind of interesting. And then I just put a Japanese flag series as the other bonus country. Oh, and I do have one more. The label is pretty cool from Costa Rica as well on the Odeon label. And that will do it for this Beatles buying guide. Like I said, this one's pretty short and sweet. Nothing too crazy on the little details. But the next Beatles buying guide should be Beatles 6, the US Help, and the US Rubber Soul as well. I might throw in another record in or two that was kind of released in 1965. So I guess we'll be finishing up the year 1965 after the next video. And I hope to put out my next video is going to be my trip to Los Angeles and my kind of tour around LA. And also, of course, I went to a couple record stores as well. So I'll show you what I got from those two record stores, probably in the video afterwards, just to kind of, so I can really tell a story of my trip and not have to worry about showing records and the trip into one video. I'll just mention the record stores I went to, and then the next video I'll show you what records I got from those record stores. So I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more to come. Thanks.